So I just left hot yoga, which is why this looks like this. And I'm sorry if I look this way. It's just, if you've ever done a video recording, you kind of want to look at yourself here and not here. So just be aware of that. If I do that, it's just because I'm looking that way. So I left hot yoga and I felt like I really had to record this video. And it's hard for me because I've done the podcast, and the podcast is a little bit different because I don't have to see this, especially after hot yoga. So this is like hot yoga, no makeup, no nothing. This is me. So left hot yoga, felt compelled, and what started it was I went to the pet store, Tony's Pet Store today in Yucaipa, and I met Angel. And if anybody's ever been there, she's a cockatoo. I think that's what it is. A white one. And when I went to the back, she was sitting there, and I had walked through and I was looking at all the animals, and she put out her foot as if to say, hey, come and grab me. So I did, and I pulled out my arm, and she sat right here with me, and she instantly started cuddling me, nuzzling me, like all the cute things. If you've ever been there, I'm sure I asked them, and they said that she does that with everybody. So if you ever want a good cuddle, go over to Tony's Pet Store. Went over, and she instantly, I was wearing my lanyard, and on my lanyard I have a pin that says be present, and it's my constant reminder to be present. So when I went to hot yoga and we're doing the yin poses where you're supposed to be sitting and laying there and clearing your mind, I kept hearing these three phrases, and it was be present, let go, and trust. And I had to keep, it was like my mantra through the whole thing, because otherwise my brain was going to math and my students and what could I do and this and that. And every single time it was be present, let go, trust. And it all was just from that one little white pin that I had been wearing. So I kind of want to give you guys a little background on how I got these three words and how they have kind of guided me, or these three phrases, how they've guided me over the past, probably I'd say year. We're coming into the end of the year, so this is kind of like my little video to kind of tell you how it's gone. I started the Women's Circle in March, and it was one of those things, like a compulsion almost, of me sitting with Brittany, and we were having conversations, and I was just like, I need to start a women's circle. I need to give women the space to have a voice and to trust themselves and to know that they're not alone. And instantly she was just like, yes, she's my hype girl. She's my hype girl. She said, yes, start this. I started the women's circle, and it took a few months to figure it out, but the first 3 months were actually the most challenging months, just because it was kind of like, let me throw up on you, let me give you everything that's happened in my life, let me tell you everything. And it was super overwhelming, and anybody that was in those circles those first 3 times knows exactly what I'm talking about, of just like, oh my gosh, what's going on. And I had a lot of women tell me I can't go anymore because it feels like I am draining myself, or I'm leaving there more exhausted than when I got there. And I thought this, and this, and, expectations, obviously not our friend. And so I had to change it up. I had to give it a different look. And, we've grown as a group, and we've grown as a circle, but a lot of that comes from the trust that we've built together. And I've heard from so many people, so many women, that we can't go because we don't trust that what we say is going to be kept in the circle. And at first I was just like, oh my gosh, like, why would anybody think that? I'm an extrovert, as you can tell. And so it's taken me this year to understand the other side. Now, understand that my view on labels of introvert and extrovert is going to be a little bit different than what the social norm would be of what an introvert and an extrovert is. But I understand that as an introvert, it's very challenging to be around other people because you are constantly taking in their energy and constantly they're basically giving you, you're basically taking everything in that they're giving you. And for my vocabulary, again, not to put a label on it, that's empathic. That's, you're able to read other people's energies, and you're able to take that in. And for a lot of people, they don't know how to let that go. So going into that mantra of letting it go, you know, we don't know how to differentiate between our energy and the energy of other people. And so that kind of started growing in the group. And now the circle has become, well, how can we kind of grow through it and work through it and find these human connections? Because ultimately, to all my friends, family, anybody listening to me, human connection, human contact is the only thing, I think, aside from love, well, obviously love, you know, that brings us together. Human connection, human contact, communication, speaking to one another, being vulnerable, all things that I'm pretty sure about 75% of you just got triggered by. If I use the word vulnerable, you just got triggered. If I was saying human connection, you just got triggered. Human contact, hugging is for some people such a wall. I was just talking to Mary and Nicole today about how when I went to a women's circle one time, we were actually asked to put up a wall before we hugged somebody. And we then compared it to when you just hug somebody, because most of the women there were huggers. So we were all huggy, and the reactions that we all had to the walls and hugging was instant. You could feel, and I'm pretty sure some of you know exactly what I'm talking about on both ends. Whether you do put up a wall or whether you feel the walls, either way, you know what I'm talking about. Now, I'm not judging you. Let me just say that. No judgment whatsoever if you are not a hugger. Totally understand that. You need your walls, you need your boundaries. For most people, I'm pretty sure that if you hug, you feel like you're taking in somebody else's energy, and you just can't do that. And I see that a lot as a teacher, not calling anybody out, not calling any teachers out, not calling the world out on teachers, but I honestly think that connection that you have with kids is so, so important, and it goes beyond just that verbal phrase. Kids are the ones that seek out human contact the most. Nicole told me today, she said that 8 hugs, or maybe it was Mary. No, it was Mary. 8 hugs was like what you should be getting every single day. And not just like side hugs or like, hugs. It's like, let me embrace you hugs. And you know what I'm talking about. There are people out there, I hope myself included, that know how to hug and are just hugging you to hold you, to say, it's okay. It's okay. And going back to what I was saying, this whole women's circle, this whole thing that I've tried to, this space that I've tried to create, is to let people know that it's okay. It's okay to have these experiences. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to put up walls. It's okay to not be a hugger. It's okay to not want to communicate, because I've heard the opposite side. Well, are you judging me for not wanting to go to the circle? Are you mad at somebody for not wanting to go to the circle? That is not what I'm saying. I am just saying that there is so much more. And I feel like since I was compelled to make this, that there is someone out there that needs to hear this. That it is okay to be exactly where you are at. And it is okay to feel the way that you feel. But I need you to know that you're not alone. You are not alone in the way that you feel. And anybody that's come to the Women's Circle can obviously say with 100% hands up, the amount of vulnerability that we've put into this circle, there is nothing we haven't heard. I can tell you right now, there is nothing that we have not heard. There's nothing that we haven't experienced. There is nothing that hasn't been brought to the center of the room and just said, I need help. I'm at that point. I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know who I am without these labels that I've taken on as a husband, as a wife, as a brother, as a sister, as a mother, all those, as a father, I should say that, all of them, teacher, therapist, counselor, There is so much that we take on with our titles that we don't actually know who we are inside. And this is leading me now to where I kind of wanted to go, which was, obviously someone needs to hear this. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been compelled to do this. But I did actually get to give this speech a little bit already, so I kind of already know what to say. Yay me. So when I was saying my words earlier of be present, being present is always my number one thing. Why? Because this is all we have. This right here, someone actually did this for me one time and I was like, oh my gosh, it makes so much sense. I think it was Hannah. This right here, you only have this moment. I only have this moment right here that I'm making on this video right now. This is it. I'm making this video. This is my moment. Everything that happened before this moment, seconds ago, beginning of the video, hot yoga, earlier today, last week, 2 years ago, is gone. Those moments do not matter anymore. Not that they don't have a meaning, because if you go back far enough, you'll see that there are moments in your life that have created feelings. Those moments, most of us have really horrible memory. You are not the only one. Let me just say PSA, you are not the only one with horrible memory. I can't remember any of my childhood. My mom gives me such a hard time for this, but it is okay to not remember things, okay? It is okay. You have so many other, especially teachers, you have so many other things to think about. We have 52 kids, all the names, all the IEPs, SST, all of that. Parents, moms, it's okay. You have all your kids, all the things that you have to do. Everybody, it's okay to not have a good memory. It's okay to not have, not remember all the things that happened within the last 2 or 3 weeks. You have so much going on, and it's such a fast-paced world, and with everything that's like, hey, look at me, hey, look at me, hey, look at me, hey, look at me. You get so distracted that it's okay. It's okay to not know all of the things. It's okay. Give yourself some grace. You can only do so much. Yet we have such an expectation of, well, we have to look like this, or we have to have memory, or why can't I remember? Oh, I must have Alzheimer's. So many things that go on in our head that create all these scenarios that keep us from living in this present moment. You think about what you said at the grocery store last week, that you were like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have said that to the cashier. Do you think that cashier remembers anymore? No. Nobody cares. And I hate to say it, but nobody cares. Like, it's gone. Those memories, those moments are gone. They have passed. It is your choice to decide if they are going to affect who you are right now in this moment. And there are obviously things that you, in those memories, and I think in a lot of the things that we've gone through, that were teachable moments. And this leads me to that trust. Trusting ourselves is the most challenging thing. I for me at least, was one of the most challenging things I've ever had to do. Sitting here in front of this camera required me to trust that the universe was telling me, Amber, we need you to do this. We need you to get this out. Can you just do this for us? Okay, thank you. And in requiring me to be vulnerable and to trust what it is that I am having to say to you right now. Because again, I'm not putting this out for just a few people. I'm putting this on my accounts, on my social media, because I know that someone needs to hear this. And so going back to what I was saying, living in this present moment, you either live here in the past or you live here in the future. You think about all the things that could happen because of all of this and that and all the scenarios that don't even exist. One thing, one situation could have hundreds of scenarios that you could make up and live in for the rest of the night. You could stay up for hours thinking about all the situations that won't even happen. They will not happen. One of those might happen, but maybe not even any of the ones that you came up with is going to happen. You only know right now here. And I know I'm hitting some of you. I know I'm hitting some of you. Because when I gave this speech before, it hit like that. It hit just like that. You only have right now. You only have this moment. You have this moment and this moment only. I'm not trying to create dread by saying we don't know tomorrow, but we really don't. I have no clue what's going to happen tomorrow. I've had enough life experiences that I know that this is all I got. And it's completely changed my whole perspective. Everything I've done within the last year has been so different from Amber the last few years. since starting working at ILCS. I could not have asked for a better group to support in this whole journey that I've made. Kim especially, obviously, the women's circle, obviously, my entire staff, my principal, my admin, everybody just supporting and helping me to grow as a human. And so my hope is that I can gift you just these simple words of it's okay to be human, to experience the things that you experienced, no matter how horrible. Because I can tell you right now, I have experienced some really things that I hid away for most of my life. I'd say 80% of my life. I hid these things away and I shoved them in a closet because I couldn't believe that I could do those kinds of things. But here's the thing. That was me then. This is me now. Sorry, I'm running out of memory here. This is me now. This is who I am right now. Those parts of myself that I've locked away, those parts of myself that I kept silent, that I kept silent in a corner because you've let me down so many times, Amber. You've let me down so many times. You've done this, 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 and this. Look at all these horrible things that you've done. And rather than looking at those things and saying, look who I've become because of those things, I've shunned them and I've created this, I created this negative feeling towards it that took me a really, really long time to work through. And when my mom got cancer, I think that was when it was just like, we are stripping you of everything, Amber, and you are going to have to deal with it. You are going to have to take all those things, all those moments, all those parts of yourself that you shoved in a closet because you couldn't trust them, because you couldn't understand what they were trying to say. That was just you. That was just you. You made those choices. You made those things happen. And it's okay because you were a different person when that happened. You were younger, decades years younger. And it's okay that you experience those things because I guarantee you 90% of this population, 90% of the people listening to this have probably experienced something very similar. And if you haven't, if you've had the life that is amazing, awesome. That is so amazing that you have been blessed with such a great life. But so many people have so many struggles that we do not talk about because it is considered taboo. You don't talk about that. Last generation before us, especially, I know you know who I'm talking to. That was how you were raised. Was you don't talk about your feelings, you don't talk about your emotions, you don't talk about all those horrible things. No, they didn't happen. That stuff did not happen. Yes, it did. Yes, it did. And it's okay that it happened because look at who you are now. If you can look at those parts of yourself and shift your perspective, the gift that keeps on giving is shifting your perspective. Shift your perspective on all the choices that you've made in your life and forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for making those choices. Forgive yourself for doing the things that you did. And then move on. Let them be what they were supposed to be. And trust yourself because most of the time, we don't trust ourselves because we've let ourselves down so many times that we're just like, I don't even want to deal with myself anymore. So I'm going to trust everybody else, my friends, my family, self-help books, whatever, which is totally fine. But you don't put yourself first. It's that famous quote of, if I were to ask you, who do you love the most? At what point would you say yourself? And no, it's not selfish to say that you love yourself. And no, it's not selfish to put yourself first. They tell you on the airplane, you need to put the oxygen mask on first before you put it onto your child. You are no help to anyone if you are not taking care of yourself. And that requires taking care of all of it. Taking care of all of you. Not just, which is not bad, getting your nails done, getting a massage, doing this, doing that. We're now at the point as a society where mental health is being brought into the open. It's being talked about more. We are having conversations more. And I am applauding this whole system that's letting us come out and talk because even now I'm able to speak these things because Some of you are already on this journey. You're already making these choices. You're already moving forward. But I just need you to know the 3 things. Be present, let it go, and trust. Trust yourself. Trust when things happen that they happen for a reason, that there's a lesson in there that you have to look at. Now, you don't look at it right away, but I read Way of the Peaceful Warrior when I first started my journey, and it at the time I was like, oh, this is whatever. But the thing that stuck with me the most was let it flow, then let it go. The story was that a man's house burnt, or his business that he'd been working on had burnt to the ground right in front of him. And he dropped to his knees and he was bawling hysterically. After about 10 minutes, he gets up and says, okay, what's next? And I know that it's not that easy. I'm going to hear you. I hear you. It's not that easy, Amber. You can't just do that. What about this, this, and this? Come up with all the excuses that you want to. Come up with every excuse that you want to in the book. But you are the only person creating those excuses. You are the only person creating your world. You are the manifester, the creator, the writer of your story. I know some of you have different beliefs. Totally fine. This is just what I believe. That I write my own story. I write my book. And every single choice that I make every single day, I am writing my story. And I've gotten to the point this last year where I trust it 100%. I was tired of people telling me, you're too much. Oh, you go there way too fast. No, I don't. This is who I am. I am 100% Amber. 100% this, from the top of my head to my tippy toes. Now, am I 100% all the time? No. Right now, I think I'm at like 95, because I am a little bit feeling the fact that you guys are getting to see this. And I understand that I am very animated. I know I can hear Frank tell me, you're just using your hands. But this is who I am. And when people tell me stuff like, oh, you're just too much, or you're just this, or if you just toned yourself down a little bit, if you went down to 80%, I'm not toning myself down for anybody anymore. Nobody. Nothing. Because I can tell you right now, since allowing myself to come out and be who I am meant to be, and trusting my voice and trusting in the fact that this is what I'm supposed to do right now, why leave hot yoga, not put makeup on, this hair, are you serious? And do this video? Why? Because I trust myself. Because I trust that the universe needs me to say this to somebody. And I hope that someone is you.